Hey, hi Sushant. I'm good. How are you?
I'm also doing good, thank you.
So Sushant, as we have hearing a word in these days in the field of machine learning and data science, a word called MCP, which you are working on these days. So Model Context Protocol.
hmm
So would you like to tell our viewer what exactly this MCP is, how it is useful in any of our project, how it is gaining such a huge impact in our day-to-day life and in the field of AI generation and everything. So could you just give us a brief introduction? What exactly is, where we can use it, how we can use it, what benefit is going to help us, everything. So could you take us through a small journey through that?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So as you said, you are absolutely right. MCP is a big word these days, and many big companies are using it right now. It's very popular. It's
I think every company, if you see any organization,
Mhm.
everyone is going behind the MCP only. They are either they want to use their someone else MCP or either they want to generate their own MCP. So if
Yeah.
what I'm hearing these days, the big organization, giant GitHub, either it's Service now, either it's a XYZ organization, they are trying to build their MCP. So I just want to understand what exactly is MCP is and how it is helpful.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So exactly. So MCP is the state of the art technology right now. Like if you want to get into any company as in the position of an AI engineer or something, MCP is a must known skill that you want to have, right? So yeah, it is a technology that everyone should know about. Everyone should learn right now. But yeah, so let's discuss like what MCP is actually. So as you mentioned, MCP is model context protocol, right? So it's basically a protocol. What it means, it's a way of communication. So protocol in the technological world, we say it's a way of communicating between two things, right? So in this context, like the model context protocol that we have a server and we have a client, right? So the way that they communicate, that is the protocol that is called the MCP, the model context protocol. Now, in case of generative AI, what this means, like what does the client side look like, right? So it can be an LLM, right? The LLM is the kind of the building basic block for generative AI. So the client side can be an LLM, and the server side is that we create a server and we create a lot of tools inside that server, right? So what does this mean? What it means is, for example, let's say we have a function, like we want the agent to do something specifically, right? Like for example, let's say I have an LLM like GPT-4, and I tell the LLM to like book a flight for me, right? So how would it do that? It would need an access to a service, right? Let's say a function, a basic Python function, where I have written a code where it can just basically given the details of the user and the required dates, like the start and the arrival date. It will just list me. It will give me the complete list of available flights on that day, right? So I created a basic function, right? So now what we want to do is we want to make that LLM use this function so that whenever I ask a question like give me the available option for flights on this day, it will use this function and then return a list of all the flights available, right? So in a way, the LLM and the function should be communicating, right? So what we can do is we can create a server, and in that server we can define this function, and then we can publicly either deploy this function or deploy it in our local machine. It doesn't matter, then the LLM can use this tool basically on the server using this MCP protocol, right? So.
What exactly I'm understanding is that the example given by you is that the airline organization. So basically, the airline company will create some of the tools.
Mm-hmm.
So assume that there can be a multiple tool. One tool can be there through which we can find out the flight detail. There can be another tool which will tell us about the fare detail. There
Mm-hmm.
can be another tool which will help us to book the ticket or cancel the ticket, or they can be another tool to raise any of the concern.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So that's called the server. That's the server side. If
Mm-hmm.
any organization is building all those tools and they are hosting it to their own server, so that's the server side.
Mm-hmm.
And now we people are being the AI developers or whoever using it is being the client side.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yes.
whenever a person try to do use those tools, so
Mm-hmm.
in that case they don't need to write a lots of code. In that case they just need to use the server of XYZ Airlines organization, just bind that tool,
Mm-hmm.
bind that server basically in our client side,
Mm-hmm.
and we are good to go. We just need to hit that server and tell that, okay, we need to use this tool to get the information. If I want to get information for booking a ticket, or if I want to know the timing for any other flight, I just need to write a simple command which will automatically hit that tool for the particular server of the airlines organization. And from there, we will get the information about the complete detail.
Mm-hmm.
Am I
Yep.
correct what I'm getting?
Yes, yes, you are exactly right. Yeah. So what you said is exactly right. So you can that can have I just gave a very simple basic example, but yeah, you can have multiple tools from a big company. Not just tools, you can have different prompts as well. You can have different resources. So resources just means data. But yeah, you have all these different capabilities that you have in the server as well. And this concept of like tools and LLMs is not new. We already had agents before, right? In all the different services that, for example, Open AI has its own Python SDK for agents. Azure has its own. AWS has its own. So the concept of agents is not actually new. We already had that before. But what the problem with that was, if you want to connect an LLM to a tool, we had to define that. Right? We had to write.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Makes sense. Whenever we want to
Yeah.
create any of the agent, we need to write those big lines of code to
Mm-hmm.
make the API calls to each of the tools and then find out. And what the major issue which I was facing at that those time, that if something has been changed in those API, all those code we need to write it again. First we need to debug that code, what
Mm-hmm.
exactly has happened in those code. We need to debug this code, and then we need to find out the resolution. So meantime, whatever robust code you have must return it. But after going through a lot of iteration, if someone the server side have made any changes in their API call, then our code will get breakdown, and over there we need to again first figure it out,
Mm-hmm.
then write it down, and those things can be create a lots of hiccups in our project. So
Yeah.
what's happening in that case? So there could be some running project, but due to the changes in the client side, there could be some interruption happen, and these sometimes these interruption can cause a lots of issues, even though in sometimes in the cases of money also. So
Mm-hmm.
I think this
Yeah.
could be a helpful things for us. So I
Ye-
think what I'm understanding it is, it's the higher version of agent right
Mm-hmm.
now. Earlier days we are building an agent where we are defining a multiple tools, but right now those tools are being defined by the parent organization,
Mm-hmm.
and they are putting it on the server, and we exactly can use those tools directly. So if
Yes.
any changes is made by the organization, they just need to changes in their tools, and each of the time when we communicate with those tools, the output will remain the same. Whatever output which we want or which we are getting in the earlier stage, the same output will be there after changing the server side.
Mm-hmm.
Am I correct?
Exactly. Yeah, yeah. That's the key point between that's the key difference between an agent and an MCP server is that the main unique feature of MCP is that it's shareable, right? So all the big companies now can create their own servers, and we don't have to write code for that. We don't have to specifically like write the functions or tools that we want. The big companies, they are already doing it. They already have the domain knowledge. They have all the required services, so they can create a server of all the tools that they have, and then just publicly deploy it, and then we can use that server on the client side, and instead of like debugging, as you mentioned, instead of debugging or writing my own code, I can just use their server. Yeah, so that is the main key difference between a normal agent and an MCP, and that is how it is much more beneficial in this world right now, where a lot of big companies have a lot of different services, right? Yeah.
So the another benefit which I can understand is that, so assume that I'm a very non-tech person.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know anything about the coding or anything. So if I want to use those tools, I just need to use their server, bind it in our any of your inspectors or cloudy wherever it can be possible, and then any non-technical person can simply write a simple language code, language textual information, and they can use those tools and get the information.
Mm-hmm.
Am I getting the correct thing?
Yeah, yeah,
So,
yeah.
what are the different ways through which we can use those tools? So, is there any limitations or anything would you like to share with us?
Yeah, so there are multiple ways that you can connect to any kind of publicly deployed server or no, or your own local server as well. One example that you gave is very good, like Cloudy. So everyone in today's time is used to like using LLMs, right? Everyone is using LLMs. Everyone can use Chat GPT, and a lot of people already have cloud desktop on their local machine as well. So cloud desktop already has this feature of adding an MCP server, so you can just add it in the configuration file of Cloudy. Any server that you want, let's say ServiceNow, Atlassian, Jira, any server that is publicly deployed, you can just get that server and then add it in your own configuration for Cloudy and then communicate that way. So I know a lot of people who are doing this for their own personal use, like sending automated emails and things like that. So they just download the Cloudy desktop and then connect some tools with that, and then for example, they want that send this message, detailed message to someone at this time. They just tell the LLM to do it in their own local machine, and it does it, right? So it's very helpful in that way.
So
But
basically, they must be using, assume that if
Mhm,
they have a Gmail account,
mhm,
and Gmail should have
mhm.
built their own server,
Yeah,
and in
yeah.
those server there could be a tool that can trigger a mail on a given time frame, and
Mhm,
I just need to write a simple prompt or simple language information that I need to trigger a mail at 11 p.m. with this
mhm,
context. So those tools get information from our side, from the
mhm,
client side, and use that tool to generate the email, and those email will be get triggered automatically at a given time.
That's right. Yeah, exactly. Right. So yeah, it is like very beneficial, not just in the like the production environment of like the industry, but also in like personal use cases. Like it's bringing the LLMs much closer to the normal population, who are like non-coders, non-technical people, because they understand the LLMs. They can like they have already been using ChatGPT and things like that, so they have a relationship with the LLM already, right? So giving this feature is just like much more beneficial and add-on. Yeah.
It really makes sense. Even though by the simple name also you can understand that
Mhm.
model context protocol. It's
Mhm.
something that we are giving much more context to
Mhm.
the LLM so that LLM could generate answers.
Mhm.
So here
Exactly.
we are not doing anything on our own. We are just giving a more context or more a specific type of context to the LLM so that LLM could perform on a given task with the help of tools and with the help of information which we have provided.
Mhm. Yeah.
Am I
Yeah.
getting correct?
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's
That's
the
right.
way of enhancement of the data, resources, or the tool information, or whatever you can say that.
Mhm.
So you're just giving those information to a particular LLM and getting those work as a done.
Mhm.
So as
Exactly.
we know that LLM is good in generating or predicting the next word token. So in that case, LLM would predict that, okay, in this case, which tool I need to use,
Mhm.
what information would I need to ask with a given tool, and all those things. And with the help of those tools, we can generate a complete task or get our task done. So just giving a simple example. So right, if I want to write a hi message or a very good morning message to all our organization team. So
Mhm.
I just will prompt a simple mail or simple prompt that just send a good morning message to all the important people of the given email list.
Mhm.
So the LLM will first fetch out all the tools which is provided by the Gmail, and
Mhm.
from there it will use the particular tool to trigger the email, and with the help of that tool we can send those email to each of the
Mhm.
person.
Mhm.
Am I correct?
Yeah. Yeah. That's exactly right. Yeah. 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 So that way it is a beneficial to all.
So,
Yeah. Mhm. Yeah.
yeah, makes sense. Go ahead, please.
Yeah, yeah. So that way, it like it brings the LLM much closer to the normal population as well. It brings the concept of like tools and things like the LLM can do much more now rather than just being like the a text generation machine, right? Like as ChatGPT was a few years ago, right? But now with all these features, we can do much more. Yeah, that's.
Makes sense because we know that LLM could be a trained on a particular set of data set. It will not have the context of everything. So with the help of these tools, either the MCP, any tools, with the help of any servers, we can bind those servers, and with that we can give LLM more context so
Mm-hmm.
that LLM could generate a better answers for the given tools.
Mm-hmm. Yep, yep,
So I
that's.
think this is really going to be very helpful and
Mm-hmm.
changing in the field of AI and machine learning, I think.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Makes
yeah,
sense.
exactly. Yeah, and as I mentioned, like if you right now in these times, if you want a position, if you want to get in a good company in the position of let's say AI engineer or generative AI engineer, like even for me personally, in my own cases, like I have given a lot of interviews in a lot of different big companies right now, and like almost every time they ask this question, like, do you know, have you ever worked on MCP server? Like, do you know what MCP is, right? It is very essential to like know what MCP is right now, especially if you are in the job market, and if you want to get a good position, knowing the state of the art technologies which are there right now in the industry, what people are using, so what the buzzwords are and things like that. It really helps you as well.
So, as you have also
Yeah.
started the interview topic, so are they also discussing how to build the server, or are they just simply discussing that uh, whether how to use those MCP servers? So there are two things. What I'm understanding is that one thing is that how to build a MCP server, building a complete MCP server where all those tools will be bind and deployed on a server. And the another side will also be there where people are just using the MCP server and creating their own workflows. So right now, I think we can, with the help of any of the LLM or the OpenAI keys, we can create a complete workflows where we can use any of the tool. We can go give those information to the OpenAI API and get our work done. So which type of question usually is getting asked these days, either on the generating server or either on the using the servers?
To be honest, it's a like a combination of both. Like if you're applying, like for example, if you're applying for an AI engineer position, they want to know if you are capable of building a server like this, right? So you need to, of course, know how to create a server. For me, in most cases, they usually asked me like, what project did I use the MCP server in? How did you create the server, right? And how did you use it? What was the need of using the MCP server and things like that, right? So creating, you should know how to create a server. I would say, if I had to give an advice, I would say like start with the very basic examples that they have in the GitHub. Start building projects on MCP, not just using it publicly, but creating your own server and deploying it in a local machine or deploying it anywhere that you want. So yeah, I would say do that.
So mostly what I'm understanding is that so they are more focused on creating the servers,
Exactly.
because using the server is something that they will just give a particular API link through which you can use it and bind it, and you can use the simple workflow, the RAG workflow which we usually work. So they are more interested how to build those MCP servers.
Exactly.
Makes
Yeah,
sense,
that's right.
right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Makes sense. I would like to state us how we can use that MCP server in a very easy manner. What are the different ways through which we can use it?
Yeah.
If you have any link handy with you,
Yeah.
would you like to show us a few of the example?
Yeah, sure. Let me just quickly share my screen. Right. Right.
Is the screen visible to us?
Yeah. So the first thing that you want to, if you are new, you don't know anything about MCP server, you're totally new to this topic. The first thing would be a simple Google search. Just write MCP, uh, and then enter. And the first thing that you would get is something like this, the official page for Model Context Protocol, right? So that is the introduction. So you can go through this once, understand the concepts and things like that. And if you want to build something, they have given everything in a very like simple manner. It's a protocol that standardizes how applications provide context. So basically, providing context means getting information from tools, right? To large language models that we have, which is the client side, right? Uh,
Exactly what we have discussed, that we
yeah.
are trying to provide more context, fetching from the MCP server and giving it to the LLM so that LLM could generate more good answers or predict the best tokens. Makes
Exactly.
sense.
Yeah. And if you see the main, like the key points that they have noticed, right? The important thing that we discussed, right? It's an open protocol, right? That everyone is free to implement and use. So that is a main key features, and a standardized way to build custom integrations for AI applications as well, right? So yeah, and the thing that you mentioned, right? For debugging and things like that. So the flexibility to change between different apps and take your context with you, and things like that. So you can go through this once, right? So now, if you want to build an MCP server, right? For example, we use Python in our like daily lives. So if you want to check, you can go to the.
Would you like to first give us a walkthrough how we can use that if you have Cloudy or something? Would you like to give us a walkthrough that uh, how we can use the MCP server first?
Okay, yeah. So let's start with creating a server first, right? A very simple
Yeah, makes sense.
server, right? So you can go to the GitHub of Model Context Protocol. So they have the code for like different programming languages. You can choose anyone that
Oh,
you
they
want.
have given code for I think for each and every language.
Yes.
It's the Python, SDK, Kotlin. So they have given everything.
Yeah.
They can, you just need to go read it and understand and start working on it. Makes sense.
Exactly. Yeah, yeah. So for me, I'm gonna choose the Python SDK, right? So if you go to the README page, we can start from here. Right? Again, you have the overview of what an MCP is, right? So let's
Mhm.
start with let's create a simple MCP server, right? So let me go to my desktop. Let's create a new folder, right? Let's call it is it yeah, let's call it MCP test. Let's rename this to MCP test, right? And let's open it in a code editor, right? So I use like a Visual Studio Code, but you can use anything that you want. Uh,
I
any
think
Yeah.
Visual Studio provides us lots of functionality to help any developer while coding. So
Mm-hmm.
most of the people are using Visual Studio only, so it will be helpful.
Yes, exactly, right. So we have the Visual Studio Code open, right? I can open a new terminal, let's say, and we have the MCP test. So what we can do is we can just follow along with this the code that they have given. I don't need to create a very complicated server for now. Let's just start with this. So you need to have any kind of Python package manager. You can use VN. In this case, they are using UV because it's much more like easier and much more integrated. It's from the same company that built the MCP server, right? So that's why you can just install UV, right? If you go
So
to
UV is something same as what we are earlier using it the pip, but it
yes,
the
yes.
higher version where it will best for in the optimized way. It can use the optimized packaging, installation, and all those things in a very optimized way. It will be
Mm-hmm.
faster comparison to the pip what we are using earlier. Am I getting correct?
Exactly, exactly. So if you just Google what is UV Python, you see that it's a Python package similar to pip, similar to VN. So there are multiple ways that you can do this. They have an option for pip as well, but I
Okay.
yeah, but I prefer UV, but just because it's much cleaner, right? So I can just copy this, and let's initialize our project first, right? So you can see we have a project initialized, and we have created a kind of a demo kind of project as well, right? We have a main.py, we have the toml file which has all your dependencies, what Python version you are using, right? And a readme as well, and a git ignore.
So everything is created within a
Yeah.
second only.
Yes, yeah. So you don't have to like create everything from scratch. That is one of the good things about UV. So you.
So,
Mhm.
just one doubt I have. So, is UV being generated just for MCP, mostly for MCP, or it can be used everywhere?
No, no. UV is a generic Python manager package. So you can use it outside of even if you're not creating or working with MCP, you can use UV. Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, okay, okay.
Yeah,
Makes sense.
yeah. So the next thing we have to do is we have to install the MCP package, right? So you can either do it this through pip, or again, because we are using UV, I can just do UV add MCP CLI. So the good thing about UV is that it automatically handles the dependencies between different packages as well. For example, with pip you don't get that. With pip, if you install a specific version of Python and a specific another version of a different package, if there is a dependency clash, it doesn't resolve that for you. So you'll have to figure that out on your own. But UV does that automatically. It always
Yeah, lots of time
yeah.
even though I have faced this conflict. So if you are using any of the Python and then you will need to use the OpenAI, in those cases it will create a lots of conflict.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the reason in one other project I remember I need to drop a plan to use the LangChain because of the conflict generated by the pip.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah,
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. So and UV is much more fast as well. So if you I just click the command and it does that in less than 1 second, whereas pip takes like 1 or 2 seconds to download all the different packages, right? So
makes
it's
sense. Really
yeah,
makes
it's
sense.
much more faster than pip. It's much more cleaner, much more package dependency, all handling well. So yeah, that's it. We installed the MCP CLI that we had. So now let's take one of the just basic examples. So we have a
Okay, they have created this complete tool,
Mhm.
complete code where you can use a simple MCP server with the help of this.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. So if you see the code, it's a very simple code. We import the package, right? We define the server that we want, right? Similar to what we have in Fast API. If anyone have used Fast API before, it's a very simple, similar thing where we define a server in Fast API as well using the Fast API command and then giving the name of the server, right? So it's very, if you have used Fast API before, it's very similar to that. So you
It's just a creating a way of creating a server.
server
Just
exactly.
as a fast API, we are using a fast MCP over here.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. And then you create your tool, like all the different things that you want. You can create a tool using this abstract command as well, right? We have that thread mcp.tool. You define this function as a tool. You have different resources. So resources can be basic, just something that returns a data, right? For in this case they have just returned a string like hello name, right? So resources can be multiple. If you have a data frame, you can do some manipulation of that data and then return some specific subset of that and things like that. So resources is everything related to data, right? Then
Next,
we
so basically,
Mhm.
with the help of resources, we can use the any of the database. If any organization has
Mhm.
public the database, so through that we can fetch our database and use those data to get our
Yeah,
insight using the LLM.
exactly. Yeah, yeah. So you can like define some database here, and in the tool then you can use that data, right? So you can like communicate between these two things as well. And the third thing that we have is prompts. So you can keep multiple prompts that you are, if you have multiple agents or it's the same agent but different prompts, you want to do different tasks. So you can like save all the different prompts as well. For example, if you see here, right, the prompt is basically a different way of greeting style, like friendly, formal, or casual, right? And depending on what you want, like you can pass in, let's say friendly, you can pass in a parameter here, and then based on that you can get that specific prompt, right? So these are the three basic features that we have: tools, resources, and prompts. So we'll just take this example. I can just copy the whole thing, and here I can paste it, right? So we have everything ready here. All the MCP, I have the server defined and everything ready. Let me just save this, right? Yeah, so now that our code is ready, what we can do is I want to test this server. Like, okay, I wrote the code, like I have the code for the server. Like, how do I run this server? How do I test if it actually works, right? So there are two ways. Let's start with a very basic one first, MCP inspector, right? So MCP inspector is basically a UI, you can say, a user interface where you can check if your server is working or not, and if it's working, what kind of tools it has, what prompts it has, and what resources it has, basically. So let's try if this works or not. Let's see. I
So it's the way of using a server, MCP
Yes,
inspector.
yes, not using a server, but testing a server. That's a key different point, right?
Okay,
So
okay. Just to test if you have created a server and if you
yes,
want to test it how it will behave on server, before
exactly.
deploying it, you will test it in the MCP inspector. And if it everything looks good to you, then
Okay.
only you will work on deployment side.
Okay, yeah, yeah, yeah. So one thing to note is in the code that they have UV run MCP dev server.py directly, but we have the main.py, right? So be sure to like change the name here,
Makes sense.
right? Because
So is MCP inspector is something on a same scale like a postman? So in the case of a postman, we test how our API will respond, and in case of a MCP inspector, we are just checking how our server will respond, how tools is working,
exactly.
and all those things.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, a much more like similar comparison will be if again if I take an example of Fast API, right? So in Fast API we had the Swagger UI, if you remember.
Yes,
So
yes.
exactly, so it's the same thing. So in Fast API we have Swagger. In MCP we have this MCP inspector, where you can, yeah. So in
Great.
Swagger, if you remember, we can list all the different get methods or post methods or all the different methods that you have defined in your server, right? So it's the same thing here. You can just list down all the different prompts that you have, right? So yeah,
Makes
I
sense.
just opened the MCP inspector using the command that we have. So I just copied this command, the uv run mcp dev server.py, renamed this to main.py because our file name is main, and then just run this. So this will automatically open the MCP inspector for you in a new tab, right? And if you want to understand what this is, they have different options. So stdio is standard input output. This is used when you are testing in your local machine. uh, then you have the sse, which is server sent events. This is used usually when you have deployed this in a public domain or something like that, right? And streamable http is if you have deployed it in an http protocol format, right, somewhere else, if it has an
Okay,
http
so
link.
they have given all those different
Yes.
functionality where you want to test it, whether you want to just test it on a local system, how it will behave in that case, and even though if you want to deploy in a server where we don't have any protocols are there, and if it's everything is there, how it will. So
Exactly.
I think it's helpful while doing the testing, if how if it, even though we can do the load testing over here, how it will behave in case of 10 12 people are coming, and
Mm-hmm.
how it will behave, so we can test it everything over here only.
Exactly.
Really helpful.
Yes. So if you see as well, so if I click on stdio, it has a command, right? It's similar to how we run commands in terminal. It's running just a command, uv run, and with MCP, it's running the main.py, the file that I had, right? So if you
Mhm.
switch this to SSE, right? So now it's asking for a URL, because now it's in a it's expecting a publicly deployed URL, right? So similarly, if you switch to streamable HTTP, it's the same thing. It just requires an HTTP link here, right? So these are the different ways that you can. And if you switch to stdio, it's running from my local machine. So that's why stdio is specific for like local testing, and then the other things for like publicly deployed domains, right?
So you can use those links also while doing a local host.
Yeah, no. So for yes, you can, but then you will have to run you will have to give the local host as the URL here.
Yes,
Uh,
exactly.
yeah, yeah, you can do that. Yeah, that's fine. Perfectly fine. Yeah.
Right now we can just go for the STDIO and
Yeah,
test it out.
exactly. So let's do this. You have a lot of different options as well, like the environment variables. These are just ways to download the server entry and server files. You can add authentication as well. Right now, I'm not doing that, but yeah, there are ways to add authentication.
Yeah, before entering. So basically, authentication is something that if any people are trying to use it, so before that, you just want that whether the people who is going to use is the same person or the same organization is not. If
Exactly.
you don't want to make it to a publicly, so that they some of the person can't misuse the given server. Something like the we are entering our ID and password to enter in our
Exactly.
Gmail or
Yes.
any of the account.
Exactly. Right. Yeah, and then we have the configuration, like what the timeout should be for the server, reset timeout, total timeout, and things like that. So yeah, you have all these different options. So let's just connect to the server and see if it works or not. Let's see connect, and as you can see, it shows connected, right? So if it
Cool.
doesn't connect, it will give an error message as well here in red. So you can kind of see exactly how, like in terminal we get an error message, you will get the error message here, and you can see what went wrong, and then you can try to fix it and then connect again. But yeah, so right now it's successfully connected. You can see we have different options here, right? For example, resources, prompts, and tools. So these are the three main features that we had, right? We can ping the server to check if the server is healthy or not. You can see, do sampling, request LLM sampling, and things like that. Authorization is also, as I mentioned, you have different ways you can authorize the server. So yeah, you have all these different methods that you can test, you can explore. But right now, let's explore the main three features that we have, right? The tools, the prompts, and the resources. So for resources, you can so we have defined a resource template. If you see in the code, right, we have a resource here which is in a template of greeting, right? So you can do list, and you can see that it's the same name, right, as we defined in the code. So get
Okay, so
greeting.
whatever resources are there, either whatever tools are there, we can see all those tools over here
Mm-hmm.
and check that one by one whether those are working or not.
Yes, exactly, right? So you can like test this as well. You can let's say, let's give my name and read resource, and you can see that because if you check here, right, it's expecting an input called name, right? So I just
Hmm.
gave the name and click enter, and what it returns is hello name, right, in the code. So it should return hello Sushant. As you can see, it's working perfectly fine, right? Similarly, we can check prompts, like what different prompts we have. So you can, let's say, again, let me give the same name and style. Let's just, as I mentioned in the code, there are three different uh, styles that we have. I can just take one of those
Okay, it will
styles.
automatically take what style you want to take, and based
Yes,
on that, it will.
exactly. So based on this, I can now, yeah, just please write a formal professional greeting for someone named Shushant, right? So it's basically
Cool.
giving me this output that we have, like, please write a formal professional greeting for someone named, and then the name that I passed, Sushant, right? So that's way that you can test your different prompts. But the main thing is tools, right? So tools are the main like building block for MCP server. It's what provides the context for the LLM, right? So testing the tools is a very important thing to do whenever you create a server, an MCP server. All the tools that you have, you will get a list of that. So right now in our server we just have one tool adding two numbers, right? So you can test this out as well. Let's say 1 plus 2, right? And just run this tool, and you see you get the tool result success and the result as well, right?
Oh, great, great.
Yeah, so it's really important, and this is really helpful as well, right? So when you define a server, you can then test the tools that you have, you can test all the different resources, prompts that you have, before actually deploying it and using it with the LLM, right? So yeah, that this is one really good thing that you can do, and you should always test your tools before giving it to an LLM, just to make sure that it's everything is working correctly, right? So yeah, this is how you can use the MCP inspector. Let's close this. Let's try a different method. Let's try doing this with Cloudy next, right? So actually using this with an LLM, right? So let's try doing that. So again, as you see in the code,
You can close that pop-up now, Sushant.
oh, yeah, yeah, right. So again, as you go down here, you can actually you can see that they have also given the command to directly run through Cloud Desktop as well.
Okay, they have given everything.
Yes,
Even though
everything.
if you want to
Yeah,
go through the cloudy desktop, how you
yeah.
can install it, how you can run it,
Yes,
everything.
exactly,
Great, great.
exactly, right. Yeah. So there, these are the two different ways that they have given the MCP inspector, which we already explored right now, and the second one is Cloudy Desktop. You can just open this in a new link, and then like download this for the kind of Windows or something that you have, right? So I already have that, so I don't need to download it. So I can quickly let's say, but yeah. So once you have the Cloudy Desktop installed, what you can do is you can run this server, right? So let me show you what this actually does, right? So if I go here and just quickly, now again change the name to main.py because our server name is main. So if I do this, let me,
So these things that usually happen.
yes, yes, it's always uh, uv run mcp install. Let's go to again, uh, let me clear the screen again. Let's see, and let's check main.py. Okay, let's see what the actual error is so we can debug it together. Let's see. Right, so what is it? Install demo. Let's see.
So basically,
Mm-hmm.
it's throwing some error while generating, through which we can basically it's in the deployment side throwing some error.
Oh, okay. Oh, I see. I think I know what went wrong. Let's check. It's because I made some changes in my Cloudy. Let me quickly open it.
Okay, okay, yeah. Makes
Yeah,
sense.
yeah. Okay, let me see if it's open. It takes a little time to open in my local machine.
No worries, no worries. So basically, Cloudy is also generated by Anthropic only, while
Exactly.
to test this everything. So in the backend, which model Cloudy is using?
So Cloudy has its own model called Cloudy Sonnet 3.5 or 3.7 or any other models as well that they have. So it has like similar to what we have in ChatGPT. We have GPT-5 and things like that. Cloudy has its
So
own set.
Sonnet and everything, these are some LLMs only.
Exactly. Yeah. 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 So
Okay, okay, got it.
all right. So I have the Cloudy open, right? So it's similar to like ChatGPT. You can ask it questions and you can have a conversation with it. Simple. So if you see, we have different models, right? Cloudy Sonnet, and things like that. And you can again have a simple conversation with it. Ask it, "Hi, hello, how are you doing?" Right? So it's similar to a ChatGPT or ChatGPT desktop that people usually use, right?
Makes
Yeah,
sense.
yeah. So the one thing that you need to make sure is if you go to the settings of Cloudy, right, and go to developer settings, so you see it has an option for local MCP servers, right?
Okay, okay.
So what you need to do is
So
you
you
will.
need to bind the local MCP server or whichever server
Mhm.
you want to use over here.
Yes, exactly. So right now, if you see, if you click on edit config, it will take you to a file called cloud desktop, right? And then what you need to do is, if I double click on this, it will open it on a new file, right? So for me it's empty, because that's why I'm getting the error that we saw, right, when I click on this. So when you install the cloud desktop, it won't be empty. You will have something like, let me show you, it will have something like this.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, so you will have something like this. The format is a little wrong. Let me check what the format is. I already have it with me. Let's see. Yeah, so something like this, right?
It's the same empty server list where you
Mm-hmm.
can input your own link of the server. It's just giving you
Exactly.
a just
Yes.
a placeholder.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. So now let's try the function again and see if it works. Yeah. Exactly. So
Oh,
now
that's
again.
great.
Yeah.
It's automatically fetch everything from
Mm-hmm.
where the list is main, the main is there and everything. Great,
Exactly,
great.
exactly right. Yeah. So the problem was, just before this tutorial, I was working with Cloudy. So what I did was I completely removed the JSON file. So that was the mistake that I made. But when you install Cloudy for the first time, you will already have the MCP server. So you won't have to like do anything. You won't have to. You can just directly run this command, and it will automatically do everything for you.
Makes
Right?
sense, makes sense.
Yeah. So yeah, so once we have that, what we need to do is now, so if you see here, it's basically again the command. So it's the same UV that we are using. It's giving a path for that, and then it's running the command with MCP and the file that we have, right? The main. It's giving the whole path for the file, so that the Cloudy knows where to find this specific server, right, in our local machine. Right, so we have the cloud desktop configured properly. So now what we, if you check here, it won't right now work with the chat, right? Let's go to a quick one, and if you see, if you go to let's increase the, yeah, so if I click on the options here in the bottom side of the chat, right now you won't see your MCP server because it's not yet
Yeah.
updated in the backend. So what you need to do is you need to close this Cloudy, right? You need to restart this, basically restart Cloudy again to actually see the
While
server.
making the restart, it will automatically take the path
Yes,
what we have given it, and through there it will try to bind the server.
exactly right. Yeah. So now again, let's see, right? So again, now I just restarted it. Now if I click, so you have the option for search and tools here, right? You can now check, and if you see now, right, we have a demo, something
Okay.
called demo.
Yeah,
So
demo server was there.
yes, so this is the same. So if you see here, it's the same name, the server that we defined, demo, right? So
Mm-hmm.
and it's the same name as we defined here as well. So this is the basically the name of our MCP server, right? So you can
Makes sense.
see, and if you click on this, you can actually see all the tools that we have. So right now it only has one tool because that's the only tool that we defined, add, right? So you can see it has add. So now how do you
What about server? We will not get the servers over here. Sorry, resource.
no, so resources is something that the tools can use, right? So
Okay, okay,
yeah,
makes sense.
so and that is a good thing because resources contains all the data, so you can't show the data to the user, the front end user, right? Because that is
Yeah, it
something which,
just
yeah,
helpful in privacy too. That
exactly,
those resources will not directly used by the any other persons, the open source person who is using it, but the
exactly.
defined tool can use those resources to fetch out the.
Yes.
So even though
Mm-hmm.
we are just making the tools publicly, but we are not making the data publicly.
Exactly, yeah. So the resources and the prompts will not be made available to the front end user because these are things which are very like private to the company.
Makes sense.
Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah. So that, but the tools can use both of these things. And so if you want any, if the company or the whoever has defined the server function, he has created a function which uses these data, then you can use those tools. Yeah.
Makes sense. Makes sense. It's really fantastic.
Yeah. So right now, as I mentioned, you have more models as well. You have Cloud 3.73,
Oh,
3.5.
these many models have been free by
Yes.
Cloudy.
Yes, yes, exactly. So you can use any of those models. So right now I'm just using the Sonnet 4, which is the most, I think, the best model for now. It's very lightweight, it's small, and it performs really well. So what I can do is, let's say, add, because we have the tool for addition, right? So I can just test it out saying, let's say, add 2 and 7.
Can we write this very simple natural language that I just want to add these two numbers, or I just want to
Mm-hmm.
sum up these two numbers?
Yeah, yeah, you can do that. So let's say just I want to add two numbers, 2 and 7. Yep, let's try this.
Typically, these information will first go to the LLM.
Mm-hmm.
LLM will have the information about the tools,
Mm-hmm.
and those tools the LLM will use, and LLM will guide that, okay, you need to use those tools to
Mm-hmm.
perform the given task, and
Exactly.
then those tools will get executed, and then LLM will get those answers, and then it will give you the final generated answers.
Exactly. Yeah, yeah, that's completely right. So if I run this, let's say, right, so it's thinking right now. Okay, so I can, so let's say, let's go through what it's actually doing, right? So I can help you add those numbers using a function call. So the LLM realizes that it has a tool, it has a function called add, right, from a demo server. So that is the big thing, right? So it recognizes the tool that we have given it through the server that we have in the MCP server, and it's asking me for permission, right? So it's basically asking cloud
Okay,
would
it
like to use this tool.
automatically fetch out that these the numbers which
Yes.
I need to add. It automatically fetch out that in the given server these are the tools, and
Mm-hmm.
it's first it will allow you ask you the permission. If you
Mm-hmm.
allow it over here, then only it will use it and then it will proceed.
Exactly,
Makes sense.
exactly. Yeah. So this is also something that they provide to guarantee the security or privacy. I'm sorry. So you can allow once or you can allow always. I usually just do allow once because I always want to test the kind of what tools it's using. So I do allow once, and you can see that it's actually using the tool, right? And the result of it is 9. So if you expand on the function call here, you see that it made a request of two numbers a and b. So now if you go back to the code that we have, right, you can see in the tool we have two parameters a and b. So what the
Yes,
LLM did
yes.
was it basically passed these parameters a and b with 2 and 7, the numbers that I provided, and then it got a response from this function, the tool return a plus b. So it returned 9, and then the LLM saw this result, and then it's giving me the final answer in textual format, right?
Makes
So
sense. Makes
yeah, so
sense.
what this is basically doing is, again, as in our initial discussion we said that it's a MCP is a way of communicating between the client and the server, right? So in this specific example that we saw, the client side is our cloudy desktops, the model that we used, the Cloud Sonnet 4 model, and our server is the server that we just have in our local machine, and it's communicating. The LLM is communicating with the server to use the tool and then give us a final response. So
Makes
yeah.
sense. I think it's really helpful, and going through this, I think coming days it will be very helpful for the organization to build any tools and generate it. I think with the help of these MCP server, we will able to give a good context to any LLM, and from there we can build a very good model, or we can build a very good workflow from there.
Exactly. Yeah. So these are two different like ways that you can use it. There is one other way as well. I can just quickly show that for especially for coders, right? For people who have experience in Python programming. So what you can do is you can actually do this through through programmatically as well, basically Python. So there is a library called MCP use, right? So you
Okay.
just
Okay.
click on that, and you will see that there is a GitHub repo already there, right? So you can go to it, and you can see what the description is: create MCP clients and agents, right? It's basically a Python package to create the client side programmatically through Python. So right now the client side we tested with two different clients. One was the MCP inspector and the other was Cloudy. And so this is the third way, Python can be our client as well, right? So what you
Okay.
can,
Okay. Fine. You can directly bind in your notebooks too.
exactly, yeah. So if you go down here, again you need to pip install or UV install and do all of this, or install from source. But we usually use pip install, right? So what this does is it uses LangChain to basically connect our LLM with the server. So you can install either LangChain OpenAI or LangChain Anthropic, whatever your preference is. We usually use OpenAI. Okay, again, make sure that you have an OpenAI API key because you need that to access the models that OpenAI provides, right? And then we have a simple code here, Python program, right? So we can easily understand. Let's go one by one, right? So first the imports that we are going to use, okay, and then we define the main function, load our environment variables. So now this is the main part that we want, right? The config file. So what you can do is you can actually just copy paste the same config file that we had from cloud desktop. So it's the
I
same.
think, Sushant, we can keep it there. We can build another complete session where we can show our users that how we can you create a complete project using MCP use, and we can discuss more in detail.
Okay,
I think
sounds good. Yeah, sounds good. Yeah,
these
so
tools are too informative, and I think
yeah,
this will be helpful for everyone.
yeah, sounds good. Yeah, yeah. I just wanted to let everyone know that yeah, you have something called MCP use, and you can use that to connect programmatically as well. But yeah, I
Basically,
guess.
we have three ways. One way through which we can connect through the code, which is MCP use. Another way, which you can directly bind your server, which is through with the cloudy desktop. And the third way is to just to test your server, which we have built through the inspector.
Exactly. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's right. Yeah, sounds good.
I think it's really helpful. I think uh, if it's good, then we can come up with another session where we can build a complete big project or agentic flow with where we are using MCP server, we are generating MCP server and everything.
Okay, yeah,
I
sounds
hope
good.
this really makes sense, Sushant.
Yeah, yeah.
Thanks a lot for your time, Sushant, for giving this a very helpful information, which is right now required by every student who are just trying to come in this environment and giving us the time. Thanks a lot,
Yeah,
Sushant.
yeah, yeah. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to have this talk. I think this will be beneficial for a lot of different people who want to learn MCP, who want to get into AI and MCP and how to build those servers. So this can be a good starting point. So yeah.
Yeah, see, really makes sense.
Yeah.
Thanks, Sushant. Thanks a lot, Sushant. Yeah.
Yeah. All right.